So controllers for PC have never really enjoyed the greatest reputation, especially with COD as my main game and the never-ending unreasonably heated debate over aim assist, not to mention that mouse and keyboard isn't even allowed in CDL matches. Despite all that, I've never really been tempted to try to play competitive FPS with a controller on the PC. That is until SCUF dropped by my studio a few weeks back to show me their new Envision wireless controllers made specifically for PC. Trust me, I tried it on both consoles, no dice. They have two pre-built models in the lineup, a more accessible wired version priced at $129.99 and the wireless Envision Pro, which we have here today, priced at $179.99. If you know SCUF, those are some shockingly low price points compared to their existing console controllers. Included in the box, we've got a thick braided USB-C to USB-A cable with a USB-C adapter, a plastic pry tool, 2 additional thumbsticks with dome tops, and 4 blanking plates for removing some of the additional buttons that you may find annoying. The Pro version also gets a wireless dongle. This is using Corsair's Slipstream wireless, so that sets it apart from most existing PC-compatible controllers that are only using Bluetooth. First off, this weighs in at 288 grams, and my copy does have rumble. It's about 50 grams lighter than my Xbox Elite V2. Easily the coolest part, though, right away, is that the face buttons, the triggers, the D-pad, basically everything that's not an analog stick is an Omron switch. Like mouse clicks, they 100% feel like mouse clicks. You can spam these like crazy, and they're really, really satisfying. You also have 4 buttons on the underside, like the paddles you see on a lot of Pro or Elite model controllers, but these are a little different. The ergonomics here are great. My middle finger sits right in between these, so I can pull it in towards my palm to trigger one set that's got a little more resistance and then kind of flick out to hit the others, which are crazy responsive. I like this setup a lot more than the dual paddle setup I have on my Elite V2. Then you also get an additional set of bumpers on either side that are super fast and easy to press. I found these are the easiest to accidentally trigger, so you can remap these or deactivate them altogether if you find yourself triggering something you don't want to. But let's say you don't like the feel of any of them, or they're just physically in your way. That's where these little blanking panels come in and they just vanish like they're part of the frame. The triggers here are their dual modes, so you can either have the long analog pullback feel, or you can move this little switch over, and then they're just instant Omron switches, so you can really spam these. I love this in game. The entire top plate is magnetic. It just pops off, and you'll be able to replace these with aftermarket plates, including some custom stuff later down the road. This is also how you get access to swapping out the sticks if you want. As if that's not enough, you also get this row of 5 G keys, which come pre-assigned to multimedia keys by default, which is super handy, but in IQ, you can reassign these to whatever you want. There is also a 3-zone RGB light strip in there because of course there is. You do get a battery indicator here on the front as well. Battery life is right at about 17 hours of continuous play, and there's a headset jack that supports mic. And there's a profile button here because there are 3 onboard memory slots where you can save basic controller configs. So you can run this without IQ. You have to install it once the first time so we can properly install the controller drivers. Then after that, you can delete it if you want to. But like a lot of control software, there is added functionality if you run it full time. You can remap 25 different inputs, change your lighting effects, adjust the response curves of your triggers and thumbsticks. They also give you visualizers so you can adjust dead zones and see the performance back in real time. You can also adjust the rumble for each side by game type, and then the left and right side can be adjusted independently. Truth told, the rumble on my copy was pretty underwhelming. I feel like there might need to be some firmware tweaks here. Most people that play competitive shooters turn this off anyway, but it's important to point out. You can program rapid text in here for things you say often in the chat. You can record your own macros. You can launch secondary apps. You can use the media keys to control background media without leaving your game. Seeing as how SCUF is technically under the same roof as Elgato, it will be interesting to see if they continue to flesh out some of this rebind stuff so you could have some of the commands that you would normally use on like a Stream Deck. You do get your start and back buttons up here like you would normally see on a console, but this little area up here on the forehead doesn't have any functionality. It's just filling space. I still do quite a bit of gaming on console when I'm at home, mostly single player stuff. It's been like 8 years since I've tried to play FPS with a controller. So the big question, did aim assist make me a controller demon in COD? No, dude, no. Fuck no, it was horrible, awful. I cooked up a steaming batch of some of the most wet garbage gameplay clips you've ever seen. It was completely demoralizing. It besmirched the great Ramcheek's name. None of that though is the fault of SCUF, who have designed a very impressive controller here. To be fair, I only spent like 4 days with this thing before I made this video. I've spent years dialing in my mouse sensitivity, so with a little more time, who knows? I did miss controller movement though. It felt as good as movement in Modern Warfare 2 can feel. I definitely had some muscle memory there, but aiming was a total shit show, for real, yeah. I even had to stoop to some pretty grimy tactics. I'm not proud of myself. Aim assist was interesting. I've seen a lot of videos of people like with their buddy in a private lobby demonstrating this in a very controlled setting, and that's a far cry from being in a live lobby where you have a lot more variables to figure in than just aim. It's not magic, well, most of the time, but with a weapon that has relatively low recoil and a high rate of of fire, I definitely hit some stuff I shouldn't have. I had some luck with marksmen and snipers, but not nearly as much as with the sub. I mean, you still have to hit pretty close. I felt it a lot more when tracking than when trying to flick. But even me, being a terrible controller player, I got an obvious advantage at times. Definitely stick with the default aim assist. Ignore the mode that talks about being better for players new to analog sticks. It's trash. Honestly though, my take on it, you need it. It's a necessary evil. If there was no aim assist for controller, you absolutely could not have crossplay with mouse and keyboard players. Mouse and keyboard would be at a ridiculously high advantage. I do have to touch on wooting compatibility real quick. If you are picking up this controller, before you install it for the first time, you need to go into the utility and disable the controller emulation mode. Otherwise, it can slot the controller in player 2 and COD has no idea what to do with that. I did speak with wooting and they are gonna have that disabled by default in future firmwares. Other analog boards like stuff from Razer or SteelSeries aren't affected by this. This thing's really comfortable to use. I do like the little rubberized coating on the underside of the grips. I kind of wish the whole underside was coated in that. And I actually really enjoyed having an audio jack right there on the controller. It sounds good. It's perfect for like a PC38X or a set of IEMs, and you can lounge when you play single player. So with Modern Warfare 3 right around the corner, I don't see myself abandoning mouse and keyboard just yet for competitive FPS, but I will definitely keep this on my desk to play stuff like driving games, any kind of single player action games, anything that doesn't really involve tight shooting, but I am kind of curious to see if I can improve my performance with this over time. All the inputs are really satisfying, the customization is deep, the PC functionality is solid, the wireless is solid, and it comes in at a price point that really makes it a no-brainer versus some of the alternatives if you're in the market for a PC-specific controller. Really, really solid offering from SCUF. Highly recommend.